I'm attempting a video on why I don't partake in gossip. When I was a young boy, my mother gossiped with everybody about anyone, and she always told stories about them. She always run people down. I remember many times just sitting there at the table staring at her like, "What the heck's going on here?" And she'd make up stuff or say stuff about other people that wasn't true, obviously. And it was all designed to give her something important to say. I've noticed with gossiping people, they get a lot of importance out of it. They feel really, really uh, empowered. Like, because they're telling a story about someone else, because they're the one telling the story, it makes them feel like they've got something to say. People will listen to them, and they have a sense of self-importance. Like if anyone wants to come to hear the truth, they can come to them to hear the truth, and they'll tell the truth and all this sort of stuff, which is a load of rubbish. And some people like to gossip. They really like to, yeah. And then every female hospital had affairs and they told stories, played the victim. Possibly the first one didn't. But sometimes even after breakups, you're still not clear what happened. And you're not clear what people say about you and what people do and stuff like that. So you kind of think it's a certain way, but you don't know. I think we won't really know how life really was until we die. And then we get a better grasp of what actually happened. Because in life, there's just too many people telling too many stories, saying too many things, leaving us in a I don't really know what's going on situation. The camera's slipping on its thing, and I'm trying to get it to stay in one place, but it keeps slipping. It's kind of weird. Anyway, so I got a great dislike of gossiping from Mum's behaviour. I just didn't like it. I couldn't stand it, and I felt kind of I don't know, maybe consciously dirty saying stuff about people. I just didn't like it. But I also found that I would get into gossip and I wouldn't know. If someone comes up to you and starts telling you stories about someone, you don't know it's gossip all the time. You think they're telling you something about someone else. And so they tell me something and I sit there thinking, well, this isn't, oh, that's amazing. Did they really do that? That's shocking. Oh, wow, really? And, like that. And you think what you're saying and what you're thinking and what they're telling you must be reasonably true, must be the legits, and it's not. So, and then, but what I have these days is I noticed recently in about the last year or two, when people start telling me stories about someone, this little voice or this thought pops into my head and says, "That's gossip." And then I just sit back and go, "Oh, I'm only getting one side of the story. Oh, I'm not getting all the story. I'm getting part of the story, second-hand story from someone else." One of the reasons there's a lot of disputes about the Bible or the Gospels in the Bible is that Jesus dies, and 50 years later they write the Bible, the Gospels, and they're going about the differences in the Bible. I was reading about it recently. There's heaps of differences, and yet that every single word of the Bible is supposed to be the gospel truth. Well, it can't be. If one says Jesus did this and one said Jesus did that, it said that there's different things in the same place. So he either said one thing or that's it. You can't say many. So because of the differences, they say it's a different person's interpretation how they wrote it down. So what they're doing is the artist thing they have, artist discretion. It's got a special name. When you see a building and you paint it and there's a lamppost in the way, you can actually take the lamppost out in your painting and carry on with the picture. Just pretend the lamppost isn't there. And there's that. It's due to our imagination, our views, our political views, our thoughts, how we really thought about Jesus. See, one of them could have written it who didn't actually like Jesus much, and the other ones could have liked him more. So they give a various view, and that's 50 years later. And many people don't believe that Mark and Matthew and them didn't write their books. They were just given those names by someone later. So there's all that sort of stuff. But the point is oral tradition or oral stories spoken by people get arranged from person to person. There's some amazing examples of gospel on the internet where the story starts off as, what do they call it, Chinese whispers? The story starts off as he climbed a tree, rescued a cat, and da-da-da-da. By the end of it, he climbed a tree and rescued a girl and took her to the police. In the end, when in reality, he just gave the cat to the owner. It becomes a completely different story from the original story. So and the other part is the character assassination done on me by a local family here in Tokoroa who fought a lot of people. And I didn't even know there was a character assassination for many years. So character assassination is an extreme version of gossip. It's where gossip is taken from just being hearsay about another person that turns into factual, unproven, a vision about a person that's not real. Gossip is the destruction of a person's character, public character especially. So you have a character, and this is the real you, and then these people come along and they tell a whole lot of stories about you to a whole lot of different people. And the character assassination of me, James Martin Sandberg, is there are different versions told to different people, I've discovered. And it depends on who you talk to, what I'm supposedly guilty of. Although I've never been to jail, I've never done, I've got a very good reputation with the police and everything. The gossip has survived, thrived, right next to my true image. And I can walk into a shop even today, and people will give me the dirtiest looks. Last week I got served in Countdown. I can't say I might victimise the person by a young female. Would you say young female? And while she was serving me, she turns her back to me. It's a common protest by females towards me because I'm supposed to be a rapist, a murderer, a wife beater, a whatever. And because of that, when they see me, they serve me, and then when you normally have small talk or you smile and say da-da-da, and you put your card through or give them the money and whatever, or you're doing the card, they turn their back, they turn right around until their back is facing you. And when their back is facing you, it's their way of saying, I don't want anything to do with you. There's a woman in another store in town who does it every single time she talks to me, and it's been for about probably 4 years. Every time she talks to me, she says, hello, how are you? Or she'll just go, hello, and then she'll take stuff, scan it, and then and when I go to pay for it, she turns right around and has it back to me. And I'm looking like, really? Is that childish? And I take a lot of it in humour. When I first found out about this, some of the accusations I was told about, one has been a paedophile, and I was very, very angry. If I'd have seen those people in the street, especially the males, I would have got up and smacked them in the face. And the woman, I would have probably strangled. Telling people you're a paedophile is very evil. The reason the people did the gossip against me is that they are part of a criminal group. They know I know they're part of a criminal group, but they know I don't have any evidence. But in order to shut me up, they they tell bad stories about me that made people scared of me, so that no one will ask me and no one will listen to me. They'll just say, "Oh, you're just saying that because you don't like them, because they're a decent family and you're not. You're a rapist." And the other part of it is the woman who did the character stage, her and her husband. They have three daughters, and one daughter flipped out mentally. She went insane about 2010, maybe, I think. And she went in, was it 2012? I can't even remember. And she went crazy. And she was in a mental asylum for a while. But it was all, no one around here knew. They pretended she went to a partake and things like that, out of town. And to say, preserve the family name. And she flipped out, went crazy, and everyone was wondering why the daughter went crazy. What was the matter with the daughter? And they'd say, "Oh, what's wrong with her?" So the mother turned around and told everyone, "I was stalking the daughter. The daughter was terrified of me because I was a paedophile, a rapist, a murderer, whatever." And the daughter, became terrified of me and told everyone the same thing as the mother told her. And the mother used me as a scapegoat for the mental damage she did on her daughter. Her mother abused the daughter very, very badly, same as the other two daughters. The other two daughters sided with the mother because they didn't go insane. But the daughter that went insane, the mother was terrified to go to the police or talk to a real therapist. So she created a character assassination against me so that no one would listen to me, and the daughter would never talk to me, and she had someone to blame for all her daughter's mental issues, and that was me. So she just told everyone the reason my daughter's crazy is because James Hamrick won't stop stalking her, won't stop terrifying her, and she's so scared of him now that she's scared of living her life. But there's a way out of that. They can just put her on a plane and take her to Christchurch. It's over. But the mother, by keeping her here, the mother continues to live here. And they're both titled people, so they both think they're and the power of the character assassination of the gossip. I've seen it in a few cases. When I was going to a church, the pastor got terrified that I was going to, because I had 5,000 friends on Facebook. He accused me of grooming them all myself. And then I ended up getting 2,700, I think it was, followers. And I said to him, "You can't get your own followers, they have to sign you up." And he was like, "Oh." And then he got scared and he thought I was going to take over the church. So he did a character assassination in the church and told all the people evil things about me, being having doctrine issues. He even sent out memos to other churches around the country saying, "Pray for the Samrick family, they have doctrine issues," meaning me. And James Samrick is struggling with Christ or something like that. And so that was the first character assassination, although my exes kind of did it when they played the victims and pretended that they hadn't done anything wrong, but I'd done everything wrong. So you've got that. Then I got the church thing down, I got this local family doing it. And I've learned the pain, the tears, the frustration, the anger, the sadness, and everything I've been character assassinated, gossiped about, even today. People telling lies about me and the damage it's done to my life. The family here in Tokoroa, one of my daughters has tried to commit suicide directly because of that family a few times. When she was here, she was only young, and she got people would yell and scream at her in the street. They would threaten her. They would call her names because the family told everyone, in particular the young blonde, that I was stalking her and using the kids to stalk women or children or something and do evil deeds with them. And these people are what you call flying monkeys. They actually believe it. So when they saw my children walking the street, they'd yell and abuse them. And it was extremely cruel, extremely cruel. The blonde had a lesbian relationship with a bisexual sports star, and she would yell and abuse us on the streets. And they would pull over the lesbian, the blonde, and the sports sign, give us the middle finger sign, and the kids would just look at me dead, and they're like this dead, and they just hang their heads and sadness because they knew I was innocent. And I complained to the police. I went to the police and I said, look, these people are doing a character assassination. And the police said that because I said that they were doing a character assassination, the family complained and said I was character assassinating them. So they were using anything bad I said about the family to the police was used by the family who started the character assassination as accusations that I was character assassinating this so-called good, decent, titled family who are really criminals and that belong to a large criminal group. So I assume this will never end because there's no way it can end unless someone stands up and accuses these people, like the girl in the Maxwell case over in America with Epstein and Maxwell, where the blonde woman went up and she and the others went up and took them to court and actually won the case, which was really cool. And if someone does it here, then maybe my name will be frayed. But, one day I could be walking around as behind a school. This is how evil gossip is. I could be walking around school and someone hits me on the back of the head with an iron bar and tries to kill me. I know a girl who was in Hamilton, walking down the street, and this car pulls up. About 5 guys jump out of the car. They run over to her. They start beating her and punching her and kicking her while she was on the ground. Then they all jumped in the car and drove off. That sort of thing could happen. So it hasn't. And people have yelled and sworn at me. And only one guy, Andrew, a MMA fighter, straightened me face to face. Other than that, no one else has. No one has ever fought me. Andrew didn't fight me. No one's fought me. No one's physically had an altercation with me about it. And I have a feeling part of the gossip, because I saw a guy last week at the lake with a blonde, and they told the blondes, I think, that I hypnotise them because I go cycling around the lake and blondes go like this and they cover their eyes. And I just sort of stare like, you're not that dumb. Surely you're not that dumb. That you think cycling past, I instantly hypnotise them, take them home and tie them up and rape them for years or something like that. These females actually believe this. And there was a big tall guy, 6 foot something, probably twice my weight, with a blonde, and the blonde was walking with her head down on the ground. And then when I came around the second time, she was walking behind his back, and she wouldn't look up so that her and I could make eye contact. She was terrified. And I was looking at I saw the guy, and he looked at me, and he, instead of jumping out and protecting her and making an accusation or saying, keep away from my woman, he was scared. And he was heaps bigger than me. And you can see it in his eyes. And a lot of the guys I see get angry at me, but they're terrified of me. And I assume that's part of the myth, the mythological creature that they created as part of the scapegoat. You see, if I get into a fight down at the lake, if the people tell the police who told them the bad things about me, because the police know it's not true. So they'll say, oh, he's a pedophile and he looked at my child, so I punched him out. The police will then say, well, who told you this? And they'll say, well, this particular family or this particular blonde. And they'll go to court for saying horrendous slander, and which you can't take them to court for. So I think they've got all the blondes or the females terrified of me, but they've got the males terrified of me as well. And so no one will have a physical fight with me. And sort of like that, something like that. And so that's the power of gossip. So in the old days with the witch hunts and the, what's it called? Vigilantes? Someone in the town or girl would get raped, and then everyone would, someone would turn around and say, or she would even say, the person who raped her was blah, blah, blah. I went to a party in the Litchfield Hall, which isn't existing anymore, it's been burned down, and with my friends as a teenager. And at the party, the woman, it was her birthday, 21st, I think, she came out and she had this huge black eye. And all the guys got really upset. They said, "Oh my gosh, who the heck punched you?" And she was sitting there and doing the sad act and all this. And I was thinking, wow. And they said, "Who did it? Who did it? Who punched you?" And she looked around the room like this, and then she saw me and she pointed straight at me and said, "He did it." And I just stared like, what? And I was totally stunned. And she said, "He's the one. He come up and punched me at the back." And I think she might have said tried to rape her or something. Well, a whole heap, you can imagine that. So this is a hall. So there must have been probably 200-300 people in there. And I was with my mates, thank God. And these guys all came up and said, and they wanted to punch me. They were going to take me out the back and beat me to a pulp. And I was staring, I was thinking, oh my gosh. And one of my friends grabbed me. My friends got between me and them for a start, thank God. And they said, they just said, no, he's been with us the whole time they had. I'd been sitting with them drinking. And the woman was bawling her eyes out, putting on her act. And then I hope to know the story. And then they, how'd it go? A friend held my hands behind my back really loosely in case there was a fight so I could punch my way out of it. And they were willing to stand up with me. It was pretty cool. I was really wrapped by that. But she turned, and we ended up leaving the party and there was no fight. Okay, so all her friends wanted to punch me out, but I had too many friends with me. And it was going to be a huge fight, and a couple of my friends were like over 6 foot, big, huge, wide guys, like bouncer types, and these younger guys were the same age, but they were like heaps smaller. And they were like, oh, they knew they were going to have a good fight if we got into a fight. Later on, we were told what actually happened was she was at the party with her boyfriend. Her boyfriend, who got drunk and stoned or whatever, they went out the back, had an argument, and in frustration, he punched her, gave her a black eye. She turned around and feared that everyone was going to beat her boyfriend up, who she still loved and didn't want her. She needed a scapegoat. She needed to find someone to blame who would get a hiding. She didn't mind me getting beaten to a pulp just as long as the guy that punched her out got away with it, punching her out. And so that's how it developed. And it was kind of an introduction to the power of lying and the power of gossip and stuff. This family who's doing the character assassination of me has a very jaded daughter, and she goes around and yet many times before I made it clear that I didn't want anything to do with it, she tried to pick me up. I think the family has no scruples. They'd all sleep around on each other or with anyone or each other's boyfriends. There's no values, there's no morals, there's no decency amongst them. And they say about criminals will turn on criminals. Well, they're criminal groups like that. If one of them gets done by the police, they'll all denounce that person, or that person, to save themselves trouble, will tell the police everything is what everyone thinks Maxwell's going to do. Can't remember, Gism, whatever her name is. Yeah, so that's the evil of character assassination. That's the power of character assassination in gossip. And because I felt the pain and the anguish and the horror of it, when someone tells me stuff now, I double check it. I just go, oh, no. Or I'll just say, well, I'll walk away and I'll say, I won't contribute to the conversation. And I'll just say, okay, I've heard this side of the story. When I hear the other side of the story, I may find the story is completely different. But I'm not going to judge the person or assume anything until I hear both sides of the story. So my way of fighting gossip now is to find out both sides of the story. And the more crazier the story sounds, the more chance it's gossip. You know, when they keep adding juicy details every time you hear it, or it's about a person and like they'll say the person's a rapist, the person's a paedophile, the person's a blah blah. In my case, I work in 7 schools in security. I work with the police. I work with many companies in town, multi-million-dollar companies, and there is just no way that I can beat all those things. But somehow this family has managed to suck in educated, titled, so-called pillars of society here in town into believing, even though all the evidence proves beyond any doubt that I'm innocent, they still don't believe I'm innocent. I have no idea how or what. How they do it. I don't know how, but it's life. So anyway, so that's why I don't gossip. Gossip has hurt me too much. It's been far too painful, and it's really hurt my life. And so I don't gossip, and I will always double check what people tell me. So hope that helps you think about gossip in the future when people tell it to you, or when people just tell you stories about other people. God bless you. Have a good day. Thank you.